What if the most cynical man in the city found his heart in the hands of the woman he dismissed? And what if that woman held the key to unlocking a past he desperately tried to bury? Before we dive into this emotionally charged tale of unexpected connections and profound transformation, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and tell us in the comments if you believe true love can melt the coldest heart. The golden envelope trembled in her hands, threatening to ruin her perfectly applied makeup. Amelia Diaz sat in her office on the 15th floor of the financial district in Rio de Janeiro, staring at the invitation that had just arrived. Marco Delgado and Sofia Rodriguez request the honor of your presence at their wedding. Miss Diaz, your meeting with the Italian investors begins in 5 minutes. Isabel, her assistant, interrupted, freezing at the sight of her boss's distressed face. Is everything all right? Amelia quickly wiped her tears and straightened her posture, her professional mask firmly back in place. Yes, Isabel. Please bring the latest sales reports and the spring-summer collection presentation. 5 years ago, Amelia was just a sales assistant in a luxury boutique, dreaming of creating her own brand while helping her mother with sewing to survive. The first few years were brutal. Sleepless nights, collections rejected by investors, and days when paying the rent for the small workshop she leased with her mother's savings seemed impossible. Now, at 27, she was the acclaimed creator of Amelia Diaz Designs, one of Latin America's most promising emerging brands, built with sheer sacrifice and unwavering perseverance. Her cell phone buzzed, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a message from Laura, her best friend. Did you get the invitation? All of Rio is talking about it. That bastard did it on purpose. Amelia's mind flashed back to that rainy night when Marco ended their engagement. The heir to the Delgado empire had succumbed to family pressure, claiming that a designer of humble origins simply didn't fit into his world of multimillion-dollar businesses and political connections. Miss Diaz, the investors are waiting, Isabel insisted, her voice a gentle prod. Amelia tucked the invitation into her drawer and stood, adjusting the elegant black dress from her own collection. Her heels resonated against the marble floor as she walked towards the boardroom, but her mind was elsewhere in that tiny room where she used to sew alongside her mother, in the stolen kisses in the boutique's parking lot, in the promises that had shattered into a million pieces. Why now, Marco? Why invite me? She murmured to herself before pushing open the heavy doors of the conference room. Across the city, in the main offices of Delgado Constructions, Marco watched the city below through the panoramic windows of his office. The guest list that his fiancée Sofia had insisted on reviewing lay on his desk, Amelia Diaz's name marked in bold red. Your ex-girlfriend, the designer, confirmed her attendance, Sofia commented, entering without knocking, her eyes glinting with a mix of triumph and anxiety. It's important that she's present. I want everyone to see that our union symbolizes the success she could never achieve. Sofia squeezed the guest list in her fingers, a slight tension in her jaw betraying her apparent confidence. She always wanted to compete with me, Marco, but in my world, the dreams of women like her never go far. Marco remained silent, remembering the last time he saw Amelia. Business newspapers now called her the revelation of Latin American fashion, and her face frequently appeared in fashion magazines and social events. She was no longer the simple girl he had met selling clothes in a shopping center. Are you sure you want her to come? Sofia asked, approaching him. It was your idea, wasn't it? Marco responded, not taking his gaze from the city. You wanted to show her her place? What neither of them knew was that Amelia Diaz was no longer the same woman they had tried to humiliate years ago. The invitation, intended as an instrument of public humiliation, was about to become the stage for a very different story than they had planned. Do you believe Amelia is truly immune to Marco's past actions? Or is there a deeper motivation for attending the wedding? What kind of show do you think Amelia is planning? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this intriguing setup has you captivated, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of this dramatic tale. The soft piano music filled the elegant salon of the Hotel Mirador, a bittersweet soundtrack to Amelia's memories. She recalled her first encounter with Marco, not in the glamorous setting of a high society event, but in the luxury boutique where she worked as a sales assistant, surrounded by garments that cost more than her 3-month salary. "I need a gift for my sister," he had said, with that air of effortless confidence that only money can truly bestow. Something exclusive. Amelia remembered perfectly how her hands trembled as she showed him the latest collections. Not from nerves about him, but because in her bag, tucked away, were the precious sketches of her own collection. Designs she would draw on bus rides and perfect during late nights spent with her mother, sewing under a single lamp. "These designs," Marco had said, noticing the papers peeking from her bag. "Are they yours?" That moment changed everything. Marco not only bought the gift for his sister, he also, unknowingly, took Amelia's dreams into his hands. The following days were a whirlwind. Dinners in exclusive restaurants, promises whispered under the stars, and the exhilarating feeling that perhaps, just perhaps, fairy tales truly existed. "You have talent," he had told her one night while dining in his penthouse, overlooking the glittering Rio de Janeiro skyline. "I could help you start your own brand." But the fairy tale, as she soon learned, had an expiration date. Amelia knew it the day she met Marco's parents. She remembered the disdainful glances, the probing questions about her humble origins, the uncomfortable silence when she mentioned her mother was a seamstress. "More wine, Miss Diaz?" the waiter asked, pulling her back to the present. Amelia nodded, observing her reflection in the empty glass. She was no longer that naive young woman. Now, she was the owner of a rapidly ascending brand, and her designs clothed the very people who had once looked down on her. Her phone vibrated with a message from her mother, Donna Isabella. "My love, are you sure you want to go to that wedding?" The question hung in the air, thick with unspoken worry, as Amelia recalled Marco's final words on that rainy night, the night he walked away. "We're from different worlds, Amelia. Some dreams aren't meant to come true." How wrong he was, Amelia thought, a faint, ironic smile touching her lips. Dreams do come true, but not always in the way one expects. Amelia took a sip of wine, the boldness of her decision firming in her mind. Marco's wedding was exactly 1 month away, and she had much work to do. For the first time in 5 years, she was grateful he had broken her heart, because from the shattered pieces, she had built an empire. What profound transformation do you think Amelia experienced to build her empire from heartbreak? And what kind of work is she truly preparing for Marco's wedding? Share your insights in the comments below. If this story of resilience and unexpected power has you intrigued, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of this dramatic tale. Amelia, the Japanese investors adored your new collection, Isabel exclaimed, bursting into the office with a tray of fresh coffee. "Orders are pouring in like crazy." Amelia smiled distractedly, leafing through an old photo album. It held images of simpler times, when she and Marco seemed invincible. There was one picture in particular that perfectly captured that era. The two of them on Ipanema Beach, she wearing a dress she'd designed, he looking at her as if she were the only woman in the world. "Still reminiscing, boss?" Isabel asked softly. "Reminiscing about how foolish I was," Amelia replied, closing the album with a snap. "You know, for those 3 years, I truly believed that love could conquer any social barrier. The years with Marco had been like a golden dream. He had introduced her to the world of Rio de Janeiro's high society, opening doors that typically remained closed to someone of her humble background. He'd taken her to fashion shows in Paris, introduced her to famous designers, and believed in her talent when no one else did. "Your problem isn't talent," he'd once told her over dinner at their favorite restaurant, overlooking the glittering city. "It's that you don't know how to sell yourself. Let me help you with that." And help her he certainly had. With his contacts, Amelia had secured her first major clients. Her designs began appearing in exclusive social events, and soon her name started circulating in all the right circles. "Love makes us blind," Amelia murmured now, standing up to look out the window of her office, the city stretching out beneath her. "But it also makes us brave." During those years, she had worked tirelessly. While other couples spent their weekends in exclusive clubs, she and Marco spent hours discussing business strategies. He taught her about finance, marketing, the intricate art of negotiation. Unbeknownst to her at the time, he was inadvertently preparing her for a future without him. Do you believe Amelia's past heartbreak was a necessary step on her path to success? What lessons have you learned from your own challenges? Share your insights in the comments below. If you're inspired by Amelia's journey of turning pain into power, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of her incredible story. Miss Diaz, Isabel interrupted, her voice crisp. Vogue magazine wants an exclusive interview about your success story. Amelia let out an ironic laugh. My success story. What would they say if they knew the man who broke my heart had been my greatest teacher? She looked back at her desk. Schedule the interview for next week, she responded, a new resolve in her eyes. And Isabel, bring me the latest designs for the bridal collection. You're going to design something special for the wedding? Isabel asked, a hint of surprise in her voice. Oh yes, Amelia smiled, her eyes gleaming with fierce determination. I'm going to design something that will make history. The golden years had ended, but they had left her with something far more valuable than memories. They had left lessons, invaluable experience, and the unshakable certainty that true self-love is the best capital anyone can possess. On her computer, the attendance confirmation email for Marco and Sophia's wedding still glowed, unanswered. Amelia stared at it for a long moment before typing. Confirming my attendance. With gratitude, Amelia Diaz. The gratitude was real, though not for the reasons they would ever imagine. She was grateful because every moment of happiness and every tear shed had transformed her into the woman she was now. The Hotel Mirador was waiting. Amelia Diaz was ready to close the final chapter of her past. This time on her own terms. The quiet, upscale restaurant overlooking Copacabana Beach was practically empty on that rainy March night. Amelia remembered every detail as if it were yesterday. The crisp white linen tablecloth, the untouched champagne flutes, Marco's distant expression. My father needs me in Europe, he had said, avoiding her gaze. The company's expansion is crucial right now. We can make it work, Amelia responded, trying to reach for his hand across the table. I can travel on weekends, and with the internet. It's not just that, Amelia. Marco finally looked at her, his eyes as cold as the champagne in his glass. My family, the company, I need someone who truly understands this world. Someone who fits. Amelia's voice trembled. And I don't understand it? She whispered, her heart aching. Then the true blow landed. Sofia Rodriguez, the perfect heiress, the girl who had studied at a prestigious European university, who spoke 5 languages, and whose family tree was as ancient as the city itself, had just returned from abroad. Her father is one of our biggest investors, Marco added, his voice flat. At that moment, Amelia's world stopped. So all this time, she interrupted, her voice barely a whisper. It's not what you think, Marco said, though his words rang hollow. But my father is right. I need to think about the company's future. Amelia slowly stood, tears mixing with the rain, now lashing against the panoramic windows behind them. The company's future? She repeated bitterly. What about our plans? The designs we were going to launch together. You can keep the contacts I gave you, he offered, as if tossing scraps to a beggar. Consider it a goodbye gift. A gift? Amelia laughed, a harsh, humorless sound. Do you think I need your charity? Amelia, be reasonable. In this world what, Marco? Does a seamstress's daughter have no place? The silence that followed was all the answer she needed. Amelia picked up her purse and walked towards the exit, leaving behind not only the man she loved but also the naive girl she had once been. Someday, she whispered to herself as she walked out into the rain, a fierce resolve hardening her resolve. I'm going to build my own world. That night, she cried in Dona Isabella's arms until no more tears would fall. Dona Isabella, with the quiet wisdom of one who had lived enough, only stroked her daughter's hair and said, My love, sometimes we need to lose everything to find ourselves. Have you ever faced a moment that shattered your world, only to realize it was a catalyst for growth? What was your turning point? Share your experiences in the comments below. If this raw, emotional story of heartbreak and resilience resonates with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of Amelia's incredible journey. The day after the breakup, Amelia packed all of Marco's gifts, the designs they had created together, the photos, the memories. She stored them in a dusty box, tucked away in the deepest corner of her closet. But there was something she didn't put away. The worn notebook where she had scribbled her dreams, her goals, her boldest designs. That she kept close, a constant reminder of who she was and what she could achieve on her own. The fall had been excruciating, but as Donna Isabella, her mother, always said, the best fabrics are those that have passed through fire and survived. Donna Isabella's small sewing workshop, once a place of quiet industry, transformed into the headquarters of Amelia's revolution. Amelia sold her beloved car, pawned the few pieces of jewelry Marco had given her, and with those precious funds, she bought her first industrial sewing machine. "You're crazy," Laura, her best friend, exclaimed, helping her organize the tiny space amidst piles of fabric. "Competing with the big brands? I'm not going to compete with them," Amelia replied, adjusting the thread on the machine, her eyes burning with fierce resolve. "I'm going to surpass them." The first few months were brutal. By day, she continued working at the luxury boutique, observing the wealthy clients who now looked at her with a mix of pity and quiet satisfaction after learning of her breakup with Marco. By night, she sewed until her fingers ached, creating unique pieces that blended the effortless elegance she had learned in the world of high society with the raw authenticity of her roots. "My child, you need to rest," Donna Isabella would often say, finding her daughter asleep over sewing patterns. "There's no time to rest, Mama. Rio Fashion Week is in 6 months." Amelia had managed to secure a small slot at the prestigious event through the few contacts she'd maintained after the breakup. It was her only chance, and she was determined to seize it. What incredible strength does it take to turn such deep pain into powerful motivation? And what fire do you think burns brightest within Amelia? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're inspired by Amelia's resilience, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of her incredible journey. The Renaissance collection was born from those sleepless nights. Each piece told a story of overcoming, blending traditional sewing techniques with bold, modern designs. The fabrics she once discarded as imperfect became the very heart of her creations, transformed into wearable works of art. "Are you sure about this?" Laura asked the night before the show, as they adjusted the last details. Amelia looked at her collection, 15 meticulously crafted pieces representing 5 months of tireless work. "I've never been surer of anything in my life," she declared, her voice firm. The fashion show was an explosive success. Critics raved about the authenticity of her designs, the innovative way she blended the traditional with the contemporary. Orders began pouring in, first from local boutiques, then from international stores. "Your ex-fiancé is engaged," Laura informed her 6 months later, showing her the news on her phone. "To Sofia Rodriguez." Amelia barely looked up from the designs she was reviewing. Her small workshop now occupied an entire floor in a gleaming building in Rio's financial district, and she commanded a team of 20 people. "You know what's funny?" she responded, a faint smile touching her lips. "It doesn't hurt anymore." And it was true. The searing pain of betrayal had transformed into an unyielding determination, and that determination had driven her further than she ever could have imagined. Her designs now graced celebrities, appeared in international fashion magazines, and her name was synonymous with elegance and authenticity. "Sometimes," Donna Isabella said one night, as they shared coffee in the office overlooking the glittering city, "the people who try to destroy us unwittingly make us stronger." Amelia nodded, observing the lights of Rio de Janeiro sparkle in the distance. The rebuilding had been difficult, but every scar now was a medal of honor, a silent testament that true success comes not from who you are given, but from who you become after the fall. On her computer, the attendance confirmation for Marco and Sofia's wedding still glowed, unanswered. Amelia stared at it for a long moment before typing. Confirming my attendance. With gratitude, Amelia Diaz. The gratitude was real, though not for the reasons they would ever imagine. She was grateful because every moment of happiness and every tear shed had transformed her into the powerful woman she was now. The golden envelope arrived on a Tuesday morning, tucked amidst contracts and sales reports. Amelia recognized it instantly. The handmade Italian paper, the elegant design, the Delgado family crest. Miss Diaz, Isabel interrupted, stepping into the office with her agenda. The Italian designers are waiting in the conference room for the video conference. Cancel everything, Amelia responded, without taking her eyes off the envelope. I need this morning free. Her fingers trembled slightly as she opened the invitation. The golden calligraphy shimmered under the morning light. Marco Delgado and Sofia Rodriguez request the honor of your presence at the celebration of their marriage. A text message interrupted her thoughts. It was from Laura. I know you got it. It was Sofia's idea to invite you. She says she wants to close circles. That bastard did it on purpose. Amelia let out a bitter laugh. Close circles, she murmured to herself, as if 5 years of her life, a lifetime of pain and rebuilding, could be reduced to such a simple phrase. Your mother is online too, Isabel announced over the intercom. Amelia, my love. Donna Isabella's voice sounded worried. Laura called me. Are you all right? I'm perfectly fine, Mama, Amelia responded, her voice firmer than she expected, a new resolve hardening her tone. In fact, I think this is exactly what I needed. What are you going to do? Donna Isabella asked, a nervous tremor in her voice. Amelia looked out the window of her office. From there, she could see the imposing Delgado Constructions building, where she had once dreamed of building her future. I'm going to that wedding, Mama, and I'm going to wear the best dress I've ever designed. My child. No, Mama, this time is different. I'm not going for revenge. I'm going because I need to close this chapter of my life. On my own terms. After hanging up, Amelia opened her computer and began to draw. The lines flowed naturally. A dress that combined elegance with power, sophistication with raw authenticity. Isabel, she called over the intercom. I need you to get the finest Italian silks you can find, and call Leo, my hairdresser. Tell him I need an appointment for the day of the wedding. You're going to attend? Isabel asked, surprised. Of course, Amelia smiled, her eyes gleaming with fierce determination. You know, sometimes the best kind of revenge is success. That night, as she locked her office, Amelia paused in front of the lobby mirror. She was no longer the young sales assistant who dreamed of designing. She was a businesswoman, a respected designer, someone who had built her empire from the ground up. Thank you, Marco, she whispered to her reflection, for teaching me that some rejections are actually redirections. In her purse, the golden invitation felt heavy, a tangible reminder of everything she had lost and everything she had gained. The wedding was exactly 1 month away, and Amelia Diaz was ready to close the final chapter of her past, this time on her own terms. Do you believe Amelia's decision is truly about closure, or is there still a part of her seeking validation? And what kind of impact do you think her presence will have on the wedding? Share your predictions in the comments below. If this story of reclaiming power has you on the edge of your seat, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next thrilling development. You've completely lost your mind, Laura exclaimed, pacing Amelia's penthouse. Are you really going to that wedding? Amelia sat at her design table, sketches of the gown spread before her. The sunset over Rio de Janeiro filtered through the large windows, casting golden shadows across the paper. Not only am I going, she responded, not looking up from her designs, I'm going to make it unforgettable. You know what they're saying in the gossip magazines? Laura picked up her tablet and began to read. The wedding of the year will unite two of Brazil's most powerful families. Sofia Rodriguez, heiress to the Rodriguez political empire, and Marco Delgado, the real estate magnate, will seal an alliance that promises to revolutionize the market. Politics and business, Laura mused. The perfect marriage, Amelia. Please, Laura said, sitting beside her friend. Why torture yourself like this? Torture myself? Amelia finally looked up, a fierce glint in her eyes. Laura, look at me. I have an international brand. I dress celebrities. My designs appear in the best magazines in the world. I am no longer the girl who needs the approval of the Delgados or the Rodriguezes. Amelia's phone vibrated with a message. It was a photo of Sofia Rodriguez in a social magazine, wearing a high-end international designer dress for her engagement party. Predictable, Amelia murmured, turning back to her sketches. She always followed trends, never created them. What exactly are you planning? Laura asked, noticing the determined gleam in her friend's eyes. I'm going to create something no one has ever seen before. A dress that combines the classic elegance I learned in their circles with the authenticity I inherited from my mother. Amelia rose and walked to her wardrobe. In the back, behind her most recent collections, was a dusty box. She opened it carefully, revealing remnants of antique fabrics. Are those? Laura began. The first dresses I ever sewed with my mother, Amelia completed, her voice soft with reverence. I'm going to incorporate elements of these into my new design. It will be a homage to my roots, to my journey. They're all going to be there, Laura warned. The Delgados, the Rodriguezes, all the high society that once scorned you. Exactly? Amelia smiled, her eyes burning with ambition. And this time, they will see me as I truly am, not as Marco's abandoned fiancée, but as the woman who built her own empire. The sun had fully set, and the city lights glittered like stars through the windows. Amelia placed the fabric scraps next to her new sketches, creating a poignant bridge between her past and her present. There's something liberating about facing your fears, she said finally. In looking those who once hurt you directly in the eye and showing them that you not only survived, but you flourished. Laura hugged her friend, finally understanding that this was not a decision born of pain or revenge, but of the profound need to close a cycle and embrace her true self. Well, Laura said, smiling, if you're going to do this, you might as well do it spectacularly. Oh, darling, Amelia replied, her eyes gleaming with fierce determination. You have no idea. Do you believe Amelia's plan is the ultimate form of revenge, or a genuine act of self-empowerment? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story of strategic brilliance and personal triumph is captivating you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next thrilling chapter. The Italian silk arrived this morning, Isabel informed Amelia, as a team of assistants carefully unrolled the fabric over the large workshop table. And Leo confirmed your appointment for the wedding day. Amelia caressed the silk between her fingers. The material was perfect, a deep emerald green that shifted subtly under different angles of light. It wasn't the typical color an invited guest would wear to a wedding, and that was precisely the point. The traditional embroideries? She asked one of the artisans her mother had recommended. Ready, Miss Diaz. The woman responded, showcasing delicate patterns that blended modern techniques with traditional Brazilian methods. The dress was taking shape in Amelia's mind, a perfect fusion of international glamour and local craftsmanship. Every stitch would tell a story, her story. Isabel handed her a society magazine. On the cover, Sofia Rodriguez posed in her wedding gown, an exclusive design from a renowned European fashion house. So predictable, Amelia murmured, setting the magazine aside. You know what the problem with high society is, Isabel? Everyone wants to stand out, but they all end up looking the same. The steady hum of the sewing machine filled the workshop as Amelia worked. Her hands moved with precision, guided by years of experience and the enduring legacy of her mother. Your father called, Isabel said softly, interrupting her concentration. Mr. Don Alejandro Delgado. He wants to know if you need company for the wedding. Amelia paused. Don Alejandro, Marco's father, had been more than just her ex-fiancé's parent. He had been the one who closed every door when his son broke off their engagement. His words still resonated. People like you will never understand our world. Tell him I appreciate his concern, Amelia responded, returning to her work, her voice firm. But this time, I'm entering the main door with my head held high. The hours stretched into days and the days into weeks. The dress took form, every detail meticulously considered. It wouldn't just be a garment. It would be a declaration. What kind of impact do you think Amelia's unique dress will have at the wedding? Is she truly ready to face the world that once rejected her? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're excited for this ultimate showdown, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the thrilling climax. It's perfect, Donna Isabella whispered when she finally saw the finished gown. It has your essence in every stitch. Amelia looked at herself in the workshop mirror, the dress embracing her figure like a second skin. The emerald green shimmered under the lights, the traditional embroideries creating intricate patterns that told the story of her ascent from her mother's small workshop to her current empire. Are you ready for this? Her mother asked, adjusting a final detail. You know what's most curious, Mama? Amelia responded, not taking her eyes off her reflection. For the first time in 5 years, I truly am. The dress wasn't just a piece of high fashion. It was armor, a declaration of independence, a stunning reminder that sometimes you need to lose everything to find your true essence. The wedding was tomorrow, and Amelia Diaz was ready to write the final chapter of this story, not as the victim, but as the protagonist of her own victory. The morning sun, a grand spectacle. Guests began to arrive in their limousines and luxury cars, creating a procession of wealth and power that stretched for blocks. Amelia took a deep breath before stepping out of her sleek black SUV. The moment she had prepared for weeks had finally arrived. Her emerald green gown immediately captured the attention of the throng of photographers. Miss Diaz, over here! Paparazzi shouted, their cameras flashing incessantly. Murmurs rippled through the crowd as soon as she set foot at the cathedral's entrance. She recognized the glances. Some of surprise, others of admiration, and a few, primarily from the Delgado family, of barely disguised displeasure. Amelia Diaz, wearing her own creation, a fashion reporter whispered into her recorder. A revolutionary design that combines traditional Brazilian techniques with contemporary haute couture. Inside the cathedral, the atmosphere was electric. Guests turned in their pews to observe her as she glided towards her seat, the dress catching the light that filtered through the stained glass windows, making her shimmer with every step. You have guts, darling? A familiar voice whispered. It was Marco's mother, Isabella Delgado, seated 2 rows ahead. Though I must admit, that dress is impressive. Thank you, Mrs. Delgado, Amelia replied with a serene smile. I learned from the best. The music began to swell, and everyone stood. Sofia Rodriguez appeared at the entrance, radiant in her European designer wedding gown. Amelia noted that it was beautiful, yes, but it lacked personality. It was exactly what one would expect from a high society bride. Marco waited at the altar, impeccable in his tuxedo. His eyes briefly met Amelia's, and for a fleeting moment, something akin to regret crossed his face. Dearly beloved, the priest began. Amelia observed the ceremony with a strange sense of peace. 5 years ago, she had imagined this moment very differently. She had pictured herself shattered, humiliated. But now, sitting among the elite of Rio de Janeiro, dressed in her own creation, she felt more powerful than ever. The vows were exchanged, the rings placed, and the bride and groom declared husband and wife. As the couple walked down the central aisle, Amelia could clearly see what she had never noticed before. The superficiality of it all, the coldness behind the facade of perfection. Are you coming to the reception? Isabella Delgado's voice cut through her thoughts. I've been sitting next to you for the entire ceremony, Mrs. Delgado. Of course, Amelia responded, rising with elegant grace. After all, the real party is just beginning. Outside, the Rio sun shone brightly, as if wanting to be part of the spectacle. Amelia walked towards her car, acutely aware that every step was being photographed, every movement recorded. You know what's funny? She said to Laura, who had just arrived, as the driver opened the car door. I don't feel anything anymore. No pain, no anger, not even satisfaction. Only freedom. And it was true. As the car drove towards the reception, Amelia Diaz finally understood that her true victory wasn't in showing them what they had lost, but in discovering what she herself had gained. What do you think is the real power behind Amelia's feeling of freedom? Is it truly the end of her emotional journey with Marco? Share your insights in the comments below. If this triumphant moment has you cheering, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the next part of this extraordinary story. The reception was held in the grand ballroom of the Palacio de Justica. Crystal chandeliers illuminated the opulent space, as Rio de Janeiro's elite celebrated the union of two of its most powerful dynasties. Amelia entered the ballroom with the impeccable elegance she had cultivated over the past 5 years. Her emerald green gown created a dramatic contrast with the pastel tones that dominated the lavish decor, a stark, breathtaking statement. Amelia Diaz, Marco's voice, laced with a familiar, forced cordiality, surprised her as she reached for a glass of champagne. "I'm glad you came." She turned to face him, noting the small lines of fatigue around his eyes that hadn't been there 5 years ago. "Really, Marco? Or are you just following the script Sophia wrote for this little gathering?" Amelia's voice was calm, cutting through his practiced facade. "Things are not what they seem," he murmured, glancing nervously around the room, a hint of desperation in his eyes. "There's a lot you don't know." "Like what?" Amelia challenged, her gaze unwavering. "Like the fact that the merger with the Rodriguez family's company was planned before you and I broke up." Marco's face paled, the truth, or at least a part of it, now exposed. "How did you?" "The business world is small, Marco," Amelia replied, a faint, knowing smile touching her lips. "And I'm no longer the naive girl you met in that boutique." The background music shifted to a waltz, and guests began to drift towards the dance floor. Sophia appeared beside them, her perfectly rehearsed smile faltering slightly at the sight of Amelia. "Amelia, darling," Sophia said, her voice strained, a thinly veiled attempt at condescension. "Your dress is peculiar. I suppose not everyone can appreciate such a daring design." Though her words aimed to wound, there was a subtle tremor in her voice that betrayed her apparent confidence. "Of course," Amelia responded, her smile serene. "Some prefer to create trends rather than follow them." "The merger announcement will be in a few minutes," Marco interrupted, his voice tense, trying to regain control of the crumbling conversation. "The merger?" Amelia laughed softly, a sound filled with triumph. "You mean the one I just blocked thanks to an agreement with the minority shareholders who were unhappy with your vision?" Her eyes gleamed as she watched the shock register on Marco's face. Some preferred to bet on someone with fresh ideas, someone who knows what it means to reinvent themselves in a saturated market. Do you believe Amelia's strategic move is justified, given Marco's past actions? What does reinventing oneself truly mean in the cutthroat world of business? Share your insights in the comments below. If this epic display of intellect and power has you captivated, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the thrilling aftermath. The champagne in Sophia's glass visibly trembled. Her mask of perfection shattered completely, replaced by pure, unadulterated fury. "This will not stand," Sophia hissed, her voice barely a whisper, but laced with venom. "Oh, I'm counting on it," Amelia responded, her smile serene, her eyes shining with fierce determination. "In fact, my lawyers will be delighted to discuss the terms of the company's new direction Monday morning." She turned from the stunned couple, walking away, acutely aware that she had just altered the balance of power they had taken for granted for so long. The glances she now received were different, no longer condescending, but filled with respect, and in some cases, fear. "Cheers," she whispered to herself, raising her glass towards the dazzling crystal chandeliers above that once seemed unbreakable. "To circles that close, and to those that open." The night was just beginning, and Amelia Diaz was finally writing her own story, on her own terms. Delgado Construction's shares fell 15% this morning, Isabel informed Amelia, placing the financial newspapers on her desk. And social media can't stop talking about what happened at the wedding. Amelia gazed out at the city from her office on the 30th floor. Rio de Janeiro stretched before her, a glittering reminder of everything she had achieved. The newspaper headlines screamed, "Delgado Empire falters. Air faces crisis after failed merger." "Have you seen the photos?" Laura asked, walking into the office with her tablet. "You're the sensation of the moment. Amelia Diaz. From emerging designer to business shark." "It's funny," Amelia responded, turning towards her friend. "Everyone's surprised that a fashion designer can understand business, as if creativity and strategy were mutually exclusive." The intercom buzzed. "Miss Diaz, Marco Delgado is here. No appointment." Amelia exchanged glances with Laura. "Send him in." Marco entered, his usual air of confidence utterly absent. The dark circles under his eyes revealed nights without sleep. "Impressive view," he commented, looking out the panoramic windows. "Better than my old office." "Old?" Amelia asked, though she already knew the answer. "The board of directors asked me to take an indefinite leave," Marco admitted, his voice flat. Apparently, losing the merger with the Rodriguez family was the final straw. "Business is business," Amelia responded, repeating the exact words he had used years ago. "Nothing personal." Marco let out a humorless laugh. "You know, when my father pressured me to break up with you, he said you'd never understand our world." How wrong he was. "Your mistake, Marco, was thinking that only one world existed, yours." A heavy silence fell between them. Through the windows, clouds cast moving shadows over the skyscrapers. "What are you going to do with the shares?" he finally asked, his voice strained. "I'm going to do what you never did. Create something new. The company needs a complete restructuring, new ideas, a different vision." "And Sophia?" "She canceled the honeymoon and flew to New York this morning. Apparently, her father isn't very happy with how things turned out." Amelia rose and walked to the window. "You know, for years, I wondered what would have happened if things had been different. If I had been braver, if I had been stronger." She turned back to him, her gaze clear. "And now? Now I understand that everything had to be exactly as it was. Every rejection, every closed door, every tear, everything led me here." "What do you think of Amelia's transformation from heartbroken ex to business titan? And what do you believe is Marco's ultimate lesson from this downfall? Share your insights in the comments below. If this story of poetic justice and self-realization is empowering you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for the final, inspiring chapter. Marco walked towards the door, but stopped before leaving. "You're extraordinary, Amelia. You always were. I knew it from the beginning, but I lacked the courage to be worthy of you." Marco lowered his gaze, a trace of deep regret in his voice. "You took the path I never had the courage to walk." "No, Marco," she replied softly. "You simply helped me see how extraordinary I could be." After he left, Amelia remained by the window, watching the sun begin to set over Rio de Janeiro, the city that once seemed so intimidating, now her undisputed kingdom. "Are you okay?" Laura asked, entering the office cautiously. "Better than ever," Amelia responded, smiling, her voice filled with a quiet triumph. "It's time to start the next chapter." The scent of fresh coffee filled the small kitchen of the apartment where Amelia had grown up. Dona Isabella served 2 mugs, while her daughter glanced through the week's magazines. "The new face of Brazilian business," Amelia read aloud. "Amelia Diaz revolutionizes the fashion industry and shakes up the real estate market." "Who would have imagined?" Her mother smiled, sitting beside her. "My girl who sewed dresses at this very table." Amelia looked around the kitchen. Everything was still the same. The old sewing machine in the corner, the colorful threads organized, the patterns scattered on the table. But she was different. "You know what's funniest, Mama? I feel nothing anymore when I see news about Marco and Sophia, because I'm finally free, my love." Amelia's phone vibrated. It was a message from Marco. "The board approved your restructuring proposal. The company is yours." "Good news." Donna Isabella asked, noticing her daughter's smile. The best, Amelia responded, putting her phone away. Remember when you told me that sometimes we need to lose everything to find ourselves? Like a butterfly that needs to break its cocoon to fly? Elena rose and walked towards the old sewing machine. Her fingers caressed the worn metal, remembering the countless nights she had spent there, dreaming of a different future. I'm going to turn this place into a school, she announced suddenly. A design academy for young talents who can't afford a formal education. Donna Isabella's eyes filled with tears. Here? Yes, where it all began. I want other girls like me to have the opportunity one had to fight so hard for. The doorbell rang, interrupting the moment. It was Laura with more magazines and newspapers. Have you seen? Sofia Rodriguez remarried, this time to a European businessman. It was to be expected, Amelia responded, returning to her coffee. Some people are only together for appearances. And you? Laura asked. What's next for the great Amelia Diaz? Amelia looked out the kitchen window at the city that once seemed so large and menacing. Now it's my canvas, my playground, my kingdom. I'm going to keep creating, she responded. Not just dresses or buildings, but opportunities. I want my story to inspire others to break their own glass ceilings. My philosophical child. Donna Isabella laughed, embracing her daughter. No, Mama. I'm just a girl who learned that true power isn't in dominating others, but in freeing oneself. The afternoon sun streamed through the window, illuminating the small kitchen where everything had begun. Amelia Diaz, the girl who dreamed while sewing, was now the woman who had rewritten her own story. And best of all, she finally felt completely free. Free from the past. Free from expectations. Free to be exactly who she wanted to be. By the way, she added, taking an envelope from her bag, I need you to help me with something. I'm organizing a charity fashion show, and I want it to be in this neighborhood. It's time for haute couture to meet the streets that saw me grow up. Laura and Donna Isabella smiled, understanding that Amelia Diaz had not only won the battle, she had changed the rules of the game. The Roots charity fashion show transformed the streets of Amelia's old neighborhood into an open-air runway. Residents watched in awe from their windows as international models paraded among the buildings where Amelia had grown up. It's surreal, Laura commented, watching the international photographers capture every moment. It all started here on these very streets. Amelia, dressed in one of her latest creations, oversaw every detail. The Roots collection was a homage to her origins. Each design incorporated elements of local culture, traditional sewing techniques, and sustainable materials. Did you see who's here? Isabel whispered, discreetly pointing towards the front row. Marco Delgado watched the show in silence, sitting next to his father, Don Alejandro. Newspapers had extensively covered his divorce from Sofia and his departure from the family business. Now he seemed a different man, more human. Miss Diaz, a Vogue journalist called out. What does this show mean to you? Elena looked around, at the streets where she played as a child, now transformed into an international runway, her mother sitting in the front row with tears of pride, the neighbors who watched her grow up applauding every design. It means dreams have no zip code, she responded. That talent can flourish anywhere if given the opportunity. The culminating moment arrived when Amelia announced the opening of the Diaz Design Academy, a free training center for young talents from underprivileged communities. This place saw me dream, she declared before the cameras. Now it will see others dream. After the show, as guests mingled at the impromptu reception in the street, Marco approached her. Impressive, he said simply. You've built something extraordinary. We all build something, Marco, Amelia responded. The difference is whether we build walls or bridges. I understand now, he smiled melancholically. Too late, but I understand. Amelia watched her ex-fiancé walk away through the crowd and felt a final piece click into place in her heart. There was no longer pain, no resentment, only gratitude for the path that had led her here. Amelia, her mother called. The children from the local school want to meet you. A group of young, aspiring designers surrounded her, their eyes shining with the same hope she had had years ago. She showed them her sketches, answered their questions, and saw in their faces the reflection of her own dreams. "How does it feel to have come so far?" a girl asked. Amelia smiled, remembering the young woman she once was, sewing dreams in a small kitchen. "It's not about how far," she responded. "It's about remembering where you come from and using your success to open doors for others." Night fell over Rio de Janeiro, but the streets remained alive with music, laughter, and hope. Amelia Diaz, the girl who dreamed of designing dresses, now designed futures. And as she watched her neighborhood transformed into a celebration of art, talent, and possibilities, she knew that this wasn't the end of her story. It was just the beginning of something much bigger. 5 years after the wedding, Forbes Brazil titled, "Amelia Diaz, the woman who revolutionized fashion and in business in Latin America." The photo showed Amelia on the rooftop of her new corporate building, with Rio de Janeiro sprawling behind her. "The first generation of the Diaz Academy graduates today," Isabel reminded her, organizing the day's agenda. "And the merger with the Italian brand closes this afternoon." Amelia smiled, adjusting her latest design, a dress that combines sustainable technology with traditional craftsmanship. Amelia Diaz Designs had become a global empire, but its heart remained in the streets that saw her born. "Do you know anything about Marco?" Laura asked, now the company's creative director. "He's in Africa," Amelia responded, checking an email on her tablet. "He created a foundation that builds schools in rural communities. It seems everyone finds their way eventually." The sound of laughter and conversations drifted from the floor below, where the academy students were preparing for their graduation ceremony. In 5 years, the program had granted scholarships to over 1,000 young talents from disadvantaged communities. "Mama," Amelia called to Dona Isabella, who entered the office. "Are the diplomas ready?" "All ready, my love," Dona Isabella replied. Who would have imagined that tiny kitchen would become all this? Amelia looked out the window. The old neighborhood now housed a modern design campus, but the streets maintained their essence, their history, their soul. "Did you see the news?" Laura asked. Sofia Rodriguez remarried, this time to a European businessman. "I hope she found what she was looking for," Amelia responded sincerely. The afternoon passed amidst emotional speeches and fulfilled dreams. The graduates, dressed in designs created by themselves, represented the future of Brazilian fashion. "When I started," Amelia said in her speech, "someone told me people like me would never understand certain worlds. Today I tell you, create your own worlds, make your own rules." Success is not about fitting into existing molds, but about creating new spaces where everyone can shine. After the ceremony, in the privacy of her office, Amelia found a note on her desk. It was from Marco. "Thank you for teaching me that true legacy is not in what we build for ourselves, but in what we build for others. Keep shining. M." Amelia put the note in her diary, along with the old golden envelope from that wedding that had changed everything. They were no longer reminders of pain, but milestones on the path that had led her here. "Ready for the gala tonight?" Laura asked. "The whole fashion world will be there." "You know what?" Amelia responded, taking her bag. "Let's go have dinner at the old neighborhood cafe instead. Some places just keep us grounded." As they walked through the familiar streets, Amelia Diaz, the girl who dreamed of dresses in a small kitchen, the woman who had built an empire, finally understood that true success was not about reaching the top, but about never forgetting the path that led you there. And so, her story, which had begun with a broken heart, ended with thousands of hearts filled with hope and possibility. Dear friends who share this beautiful story of love and redemption with me, Amelia Diaz's transformation shows us that true success is not in revenge, but in personal transformation and in using our experiences to help others. Like her, we all have the power to turn our most difficult moments into opportunities for growth and overcoming challenges. If this story has touched your heart and inspired you as much as it has me, I invite you to let me know by liking this video and sharing it with those special people who, perhaps, also need to believe in the power of love and self-worth. Subscribe to the channel for more stories that will make you believe in the power of perseverance and self-love. And tell me in the comments, from what country are you watching this story of overcoming and empowerment? I'd love to know where these stories of transformation resonate.